All right, Billy Cunningham, let's continue. Mikey Weinstein is the founder of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, the military organization that had the Bible removed from the military-based medical offices, and also his thoughts on what's going on with transgender issues in North Carolina and Mississippi. And Mikey Weinstein, welcome to the Bill Cunningham Show.
Glad to be here, Bill. Thank you very much.
Good to have you here. A few weeks ago, I got word that there were some Bibles being removed from military bases like Wright Pat and Dayton and elsewhere. Is your group behind that, and if so, why?
Yes, actually, it's not just the military bases. It's at VA centers, Veterans Administration centers, Veterans Affairs centers in your state, in Akron and in Youngstown, out in Houston, a bunch of other places. The most current one is occurring at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and we have a large number of veterans, and certainly at Wright-Patterson, a large number of airmen who have come to us requesting help because the POW MIA memorial table has a New Testament on it, which is in direct violation of the separation of church and state prohibition or the requirement in the First Amendment, as well as direct violation of Air Force instructions, specifically Air Force Instruction 1-1, sections 2.11 and 2.12, that make it very clear that members of the Air Force cannot show favoritism to one faith over no faith or over any other faith or no faith whatsoever. So it's a clear violation of the No Establishment Clause bill, as well as Department of Defense directives, instructions, and regulations. And we brought it to the attention of the people, the Veterans Affairs folks at the VA centers, and certainly at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, not too far from you. And the most senior person there is a four-star general, General Ellen Polikowski, and they came back and immediately realized that they complied with our demands here, and they removed the Christian Bible.
Well, Mikey, have you received complaints from actual real-life American soldiers, airmen, Marines, et cetera, that they want God taken out of public military areas? Do you have actual human beings inside these organizations that complain about the Bible?
Well, obviously, I think you're kind of insinuating that we're making this up.
Right.
So I won't get in. I'm not insulted by it at all. I think it's good that your audience is hearing this. The numbers at the VA at Youngstown, there were 11 veterans, 7 of them Christian. There were 22 veterans. I'm sorry, that's at Akron. In Youngstown, there were, I believe, 22 veterans, 17 of them Christian. In Houston, 35 of them, the veterans, highly decorated, severely injured and wounded, I should say. 22 of them Christians. A little bit different at Wright-Patterson. 31 total airmen, 10 of them Christian.
So the answer is yes. So you're saying
not only the answer is a resounding yes, and but
wow.
Here's the important. I want to say one thing about that because you raised a good point, Bill. Even if we had nobody, which of course we don't, we have all of these individuals, and we have over 45,500 total military and veteran clients in the foundation. 96% of whom are practicing Protestants and Roman Catholics. But let's remember what Sandra Day O'Connor said from the Supreme Court bench, and boy, do we miss her. She said, in America, Bill, we don't count heads before enforcing the First Amendment.
So you're saying you think that the rights of injured veterans are impacted in a negative way if, as part of a bunch of other displays, the Word of God is present, that somehow this injures the ability of injured veterans to receive medical care? Give me the injury inflicted upon veterans if you look at a Bible. What's the harm?
Well, please try to understand that we have a secular country. We have we have veterans of many, many different faiths. It just turns out that most of our clients happen to be Christians that complain to us about this. But as a matter of fact, are there not veterans who are Jewish, atheist, agnostic, Islamic? We have 12 members of the Jedi Church that are clients of ours, believe it or not, right out of Star Wars. So The question is, why does the Christian New Testament get to be put into a solemn POW MIA display over everybody else, book of faith or no faith? So the fact of the matter is that it very much was harming. Many of our clients have suffered TBI, traumatic brain injury, PTSD, highly decorated. And I said most of them happen to be Christians and realize that this was wrong because when you go into battle, your battle buddy next to you may be a fellow Christian, may not. And in America, it doesn't matter. And it's not. And when you say the Word of God, hey, Bill, let me ask you a question. It's your show, but who's God? I mean, there's between 35,000 and 41,000 different distinct denominations of Christianity alone, Bill.
We might call him by a different first name, but God is God. It's the reason America was founded. America was founded upon Romano-Christian values. America is a Christian Judeo nation as founded by the founding fathers.
Bill, actually, you raise another good point, and I'm enjoying this interview. You can make an argument that America was, in fact, founded as a Christian
Sure
nation.
it was.
I'll give that to you. Oh, no, let me finish. Let me finish, please. I'm your guest. But not the United States of America. They had religious freedom in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. You were free to leave if you didn't agree with what the Puritans decided. But when this country was formed, we cleaved a chasm, a canyon between metaphysical and physical, spiritual and temporal, church and state. And in this country is not, if it's a Christian country, it's also an atheist, Jewish, agnostic, Islamic, Hindu country. In this country, we don't view your value or your courage or your integrity or your honor, particularly as a member of the military, as to whether or not you subscribe to a particular religious belief for God, for Jesus, for Vishnu, for Yahweh, or for the flying spaghetti monster.
Well, Mikey,
Spider-Man.
Look at it this way. I don't have it in front of me, but Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, nor prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Doesn't this prohibit the free exercise of religion by this approach?
That's another good question. Let me ask you a question. Just if you could just be kind enough to answer yes or no. Have you ever heard of the seminal 1974 Supreme Court case, Parker versus Levy? I doubt that you have. That was a case that came. I'll give you. I know you haven't. That was written by one of the most conservative chief justices in the history of America, the Supreme Court, Judge William Rehnquist. I'm sure you've heard of him. It was a 6-2 decision. So one of the justices must have been sick that day or abstained or something. But that decision, Parker versus Levy, 1974. So we're talking 41 years ago or so. He came down and said, look, when you in the United States military, you do not get the same degree of constitutional protection for your rights, include your First Amendment rights, that you do if you work at a radio station in Cincinnati, if you work for the Cincinnati Reds or Boeing or McDonald's or Taco Bell. You just don't. Why? Because the compelling governmental interests are different. When you're a civilian, you want to get the full maximum degree of religious rights protection, freedom of protections, freedom of association, speech, press, etc. But not so in the military, because the compelling governmental interest there, Bill, is to maximize the lethality of our military, to ensure that it's strong enough to protect the full panoply, the full spectrum of constitutional rights for the rest of us. So what does the Supreme Court interpret the Constitution to say is the compelling governmental interest? It's very simple. We have to maximize good order, morale, discipline, and unit cohesion, health and safety of the troops, military readiness, and mission accomplishment. Putting one particular person's religious views, Bible, on a display like that eviscerates and destroys good order, morale, and discipline, which is the sinew, the blood, the vessels, the arteries, the veins, the muscles of the body politic, the corporal body of our military. So the answer to your question is you do not get the same rights when the uniform goes on, and that's been lost for 41 years, Bill.
So you're saying if Wright Pat or other military facilities had said to you and your group, to hell with you, we want to keep it there, you'd go to a federal court, and under Parker v. Levy 1974 decision, the federal courts would rule that the Bible's got to be removed from VA offices all around America?
Absolutely correct. Well articulated.
I'm looking at Parker v. Levy now. It has to do with Article 90, Section 2 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Provides
what happened was, Bill, in that case, you had a Captain Levy, an Army captain who was against the Vietnam War, and he felt he had the First Amendment right to warn others, do not join the U.S. Army because this Vietnam War is immoral. And of course, he was court-martialed, and his defense was, hey, I'm an American citizen. I have my First Amendment freedom of speech rights. Supreme Court came back and said, no, you don't. Not to the same degree anyone else does. Your conviction stands.
So your point is, if somebody who's a Muslim, a Jew, agnostic, or an atheist, if someone would say, I'm a veteran, I'm going into VA hospitals to get medical care, and this offends me to have the Bible there, that maybe someone should put the good book of the Quran there, or put the Torah there, put something else there, suddenly you'd have so many displays of so many religious symbols, none of it would have any meaning because you'd have all the symbols there, which is why the crosses have been taken off like Fountain Square and other public squares around the cities in America, because after all, if you put the cross, you got to put 10 other symbols. Therefore, religion has no meaning whatsoever if it becomes proliferating with other religious symbols. Is that what you're saying?
Listen very carefully. Your argument is what was the one we used, for instance, right near you at Youngstown. We said if you don't take the Bible away there, we demand the right to have a table looking exactly like the one you have with Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion, which is the Bible of atheists, and the Torah, the Tanakh, the Pentateuch, the 5 books of Moses, the Jewish Old Testament. Now, and next we would ask for, of course, the Quran, the Book of Satan, and anything else that would be there.
Book of Satan.
The point is, one constitutional violation doesn't justify 10,000 others. That's why there should be nobody's book of faith there. And by the way, we're not saying you can't pray. The Constitution prohibits government involvement with this. Anything you do privately is your own thing. Is perfectly fine. The same thing with prayer in school. You can absolutely pray in school. I went to the Air Force Academy. I prayed all the time, internally. But it's different when the government, when you become inextricably intertwined with the incredible power, financial heft, and prestige of the federal government, in this case, the Department of Defense and the Department of Veterans Affairs. That's all we're saying. And that's why the VA agrees with us, and the Department of Defense agrees with us, and I think the President of the United States agrees with us as well. Mikey
Weinstein, America's going to hell in a handbasket. The country is changing fundamentally in ways that the Founding Fathers would not recognize. If the founders of this country had heard this argument, they would have laughed you right out of court.
I got to tell you, I think you're totally wrong. If you go back to John Adams, who made it clear in the Treaty of Tripoli in the late 1790s that America, he made it very statement that made it very clear America is most certainly not a Christian nation. Listen carefully. You have the Cincinnati Reds there, a great baseball team. When Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 1947 with the Brooklyn Dodgers and Branch Rickey blazing the way, this was not white Major League Baseball player victimization or persecution bill. It was white Major League Baseball player equalization. With the Civil Rights Movement in the 60s, it wasn't white American persecution or victimization. It was white American equalization. The feminist movement wasn't male victimization. This is not Christian persecution or victimization. It is Christian equalization. Welcome to equality and liberty for all. You must now share your toys with everyone.
Mikey, you might burn in hell. You know what I'm saying?
What do you say?
You might burn in hell.
Yeah, but that's my decision, and that's my choice, and that's in America. That's the beautiful thing about our Constitution. They don't view you as being any better than me because you're a Christian and I'm not. But most of our clients are Christians, and they're the ones who complain to us. 96% of our 45,500 plus clients are Christians. We have nearly 300 people that work in this foundation. Probably 88% are Christians. Half my family's is a Christian. What difference does that make?
Well, it isn't your business. I can't imagine a large number of Christians that are objecting to the Bible present in the VA. We're heading toward a godless heathen society, and when you're down in purgatory burning and I'm up in heaven, I'm going to say a prayer to bring you on up.
Well, you're a good man to do that, but let me tell you something. Let me give you the name of a good Christian you might have heard of, and a Republican like I am. His name is Colonel Larry Wilkerson, a heavy combat veteran from Vietnam. He was the chief of staff to a Secretary of State called Colin Powell. He was Colin Powell's right-hand person when Colin Powell was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He's on our advisory board, one of our strongest supporters, teaches in the College of William and Mary, and he wrote a beautiful opinion editorial about this. It's right on our website at militaryreligiousfreedom.org. And, if your version of God wants to send me to hell for standing up for badly wounded veterans and highly decorated veterans, most of them Christians, then that is her business, not yours.
Well, at this point, the military is going to have to kowtow to what the black robes tell them to do, because, after all, we're a system of laws and not men. But to my way of thinking, as a practicing Roman Catholic, this has taken America backwards. And if you want to have a religious symbol in and around a VA hospital, I got no problem having that at all. We were founded on Judeo-Christian principles. The Founding Fathers are flipping over on their graves. And Mikey Weinstein, you're going to burn in hell.
Well, listen, if that's your position, that's great. In the meantime, I can simply tell you to F off.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your viewpoint. Good to hear it. F off. He's going to burn in hell. F off. Thank you.